Hello everyone, today we have a very special yoga sequence. It's going to be focusing on our shoulders and our quads, and it's going to be by this beautiful lake. I'm so looking forward to this because my legs are so sore from a hike, and also my shoulders are so sore from carrying all the stuff. So I can't wait to do some yoga with you all. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're actually first going to start with the very easy knelt position. So it's a kneeling position. The only difference is that we're not directly sitting on our heels. We're actually kind of sitting on the ground with our heels on the sides of our hips, okay? So your knees are going to be pointing inwards a little bit when your feet are outside of your hips, okay? So if you want to see what it looks like from the side, your heels are actually just at the outskirts of your hips. Perfect. All right, so from here, we're just gonna do 2 breaths together to get started with our practice. So once you feel like your hips are securely grounded on the ground and your knees are not giving you any problems, then if they are giving you any problems, just be in the normal kneeling position. But if you can, let your hips open a little bit wide and your feet are a little bit outside of your hips. Knees can definitely be a little bit far apart from each other. Okay, once you're ready, we're going to be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out, relax your shoulders and ground yourself a little bit more. Let's do this for 2 more times. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, relax your shoulders and ground a little bit more. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, relax your shoulders and ground a little bit more. And from here, we're going to do the reverse of what we just did. So earlier, our knees are kind of turning inwards. Now we're going to turn them outwards with a butterfly pose. So to do that, bring your feet together and your knees will be falling to your sides, okay? And you can try to bring your feet to as close to your groins as possible. That's going to stretch your groins and your hips a little bit more, okay? But you just come into a position that feels the most comfortable for you, okay? Challenging but comfortable. Okay. Comfortably challenging, I guess. Okay. And we're gonna be here for 3 breaths again. So with 1 breath in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head again. And breathe out, relax your shoulders and ground a little bit more. Let's do this for 2 more times. Feel free to close your eyes. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, ground a little bit deeper. Let's do this 1 more time. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, relax your shoulders and ground a little bit more. And let's keep going on this hip opening train. So what we're going to do is that we're actually going to open our legs to the sides into a straddle pose, okay? So what you're trying to do is to open your legs as much as possible to a wider angle. But because everybody's flexibility level is different, so just bring your legs as open as your body allows you to, okay? So for me, this is the most that I can open, so this will be the straddle pose that I will deal with, okay? And I'm gonna flex my feet a little bit, so I'll be stretching my calves, all right? And once you feel grounded, what we're gonna do is we're gonna thinking about with 1 breath in, lift through the crown of your head again, lift up, and when you breathe out, you can find a forward fold. And for me, because I'm surrounded by grass, so I'm just gonna rest my forearms on my mat, but if you have a smoother ground, then feel free to move your hands further forward to be in front of you, and maybe just keep stretching forward, okay? And for me, I'm just gonna resort to having my forearms on my mat, but I'm gonna seek that forward fold sensation. Okay, so 1 more time, thinking about breathing in, lifting through the crown of your head. And breathe out. Let's sink forward a little bit deeper. Let's do this for 2 more times. So breathe in, thinking about lifting up. And breathe out. Sink forward a little bit deeper. Remember, your feet are engaged and flexed. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in. Lift up through the crown of your head. And breathe out. Sink forward a little bit deeper. Very well. And once you're ready to come out, gradually walk your hands back to your sides. And that is forward fold straddle pose. And we're going to open to both sides a little bit. So turn to your right leg. So your upper body will be facing kind of at a 45 degrees angle towards your right leg. Okay. And with one breath in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head again. And breathe out, forward fold onto your right leg. Perfect. Let's do this for 2 more breaths. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, forward fold. One more time. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, forward fold. Last time, breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, forward fold. And from here, I'm going to twist my side body and my left shoulder by just bringing my upper body to be facing me, okay, forward, facing forward. And your left hand will keep contact with your right leg, so that can be on your right foot or on somewhere on your right leg, okay? So find the perfect hand position for your right hand, and then your upper body is trying to push forward and face forward, okay? And your shoulder might even come in front of your right leg, okay? And that's really going to allow for that side body stretch. Perfect. And if you want to stretch a little bit more, you can even bring your gaze up towards the sky. Okay. Let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in. Thinking about lifting through the crown of your head again. Even though that would mean that you will kind of lengthen towards your right side by thinking about that lifting sensation. And breathe out. Maybe you twist your right shoulder forward a little bit more. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in. Lift through the crown of your head and breathe out. Twist forward a little bit more. And to come out, we go back to upper body facing your right leg. And then we can gradually walk our hands back to the center. Great, let's do this on the other side. So with one breath in, turn your body to your left leg. And then with breathe out, you fold forward towards your right leg. Let's be here for 2 more breaths. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head. And breathe out, fold forward. One more time. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, fold forward. Perfect. And to stretch our side bodies and our right shoulders, keep that contact of your right hand with your left leg, and then you twist your upper body towards me, okay? All right. And then your left shoulder might be a little bit in front of your left leg, and that's perfect. Okay. And if you want to twist a little bit more, then you can bring your gaze towards the sky. Perfect. Let's be here for 3 breaths. So breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out, look up, and maybe bring your left shoulder forward a little bit more. Let's be here for 1 more breath. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Look up and twist your left shoulder forward a little bit more. Perfect. To come out, first bring your upper body to be facing your left leg again, and then we're going to gradually walk our hands to the center. Perfect. And from here, we're going to go into some more seated positions. So let's first close our legs. But we're going to go into a pigeon pose variation, which is called a firelock pose. Okay, so your hips are kind of open already. So what you're going to do is you're going to stack your shins on top of each other. Okay, so we're going to switch the order after this. So any order is fine. Okay, so just bend both of your legs and then stack your shins on top of each other, and they're both parallel to the long edge of your mat. Perfect. Okay, and we're just gonna be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, relax your shoulders. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And then we're gonna switch the order of the legs. So whichever leg was at the bottom is gonna be on top now. Okay, and then try to bring your shins to be right stacked on top of each other, and then they're both parallel to the long edge of your mat. Perfect. And let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, seat a little bit more grounded. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, relax and sink down a little bit more. Great. And from here, we're gonna go into some side positions. We're first gonna go into a super relaxing side body stretch. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lean towards the left side, and your forearm is gonna come to support you on your left side. Very well. And then you can bring your left hand to support your head, and forearm is on the ground. I do find maybe having my hand supporting my head makes this a little bit easier. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our right legs to meet our right hands, and this is a Vishnu couch pose. So basically thinking about you're lounging on a couch, but you're gonna stretch your legs and your side bodies a little bit by doing so. Okay, so maintain that connection between your right hand and your right foot, and let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Maybe kick your right foot a little bit more towards the sky, towards your right foot. Okay, let's be here for 1 more breath. Breathe in, lift up through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Kick your right foot into your right hand a little bit more. Perfect. And from here, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna basically swing our legs to the other side to come to the couch position on the other side. So right hand supporting your head this time, and then you kick your left leg up. Perfect. And bring your left leg to your left hand, and let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Kick your left leg into your left hand a little bit more. Let's do this 1 more time. Breathe in, kick up, and breathe out. Kick your left leg into your left hand a little bit more. Perfect. And from here, we're gonna go, basically, we're lying on our stomachs. Once you're ready, you're gonna just lower all the way down, because we're gonna do some tiny back bend, which is a locust pose. Okay? So maybe your forearm is on the ground, okay? Or your shin can be on the ground. Either way, we're gonna lift all our limbs up and support ourselves with nothing but our cores, okay? So let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lift your limbs up, and gaze forward. Okay, and breathe out, lower everything. Let's do this for 2 more breaths. Breathe in, lift everything up, gaze is just neutrally forward. Breathe out, lower everything. 1 more time. Breathe in, lift up, gaze forward, and breathe out, lower everything onto the ground. And from here, we're gonna go into a tiny cobra pose. Okay, so your hands will be by your ribs, and then with the support of your hands, lift your upper body up. So let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Maybe bend backwards a little bit more. Breathe in, lift up, breathe out, bend backwards a little bit more. Perfect. And from here, we're gonna go into a dolphin pose. To do so, you're gonna kind of go through a tabletop position, and then just walk your hands forward, okay? So walk your hands forward until you feel like your shoulders are almost on the ground. Perfect. And try to make make sure that your legs are at 90-degree angles. Okay, so your hips are stacked right on top of your knees. All right, and then you can either bring your shin to the ground, or you can bring your forehead to the ground, whichever makes you feel better. Okay, so I'm gonna stay here with my gaze forward because it gives me more of a shoulder stretch. Let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head. Breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Okay, perfect. And from here to walk out, you just walk your hands back into a tabletop position. Perfect. And we're gonna do a couple of cat and cows because that dolphin pose is kind of a little back bend. So let's round our backs a little bit to counteract that back bend. Okay, so round our backs and heads down. When we breathe in, breathe out, arch your back and look up. Breathe in, round your back and head down. Let's be here for a little bit longer to really counteract the tiny back bend. Okay, perfect. And from here, we're going to go into a thread the needle. So to do that, we're going to go into a neutral tabletop position. And I'm going to open to my left side first so you can see me a little bit better. So open your upper body to your left side. Your left hand is facing towards the sky. And then you're going to twist your body towards your right side. And you're going to thread your left arm through this archway between your right arm and your right leg. Okay. Try to land your left shoulder onto the ground. And we're going to be here for 2 breaths. Okay. Once you're ready, your right arm can be either in front of you or you can wrap it around your waist. Okay, find your position, and we're going to be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, thinking about opening your body towards the right side a little bit more. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, open your body a little bit more. To come out, with the support of your hands, you're going to try to come back into a tabletop position. Okay, perfect. Let's do this on the other side. So I'm going to open to the right side. My right hand are pointed towards the sky. Okay, and then when we breathe out, we're going to thread our right hands through this little archway to the ground. Okay, and then try to bring your right shoulder onto the ground. All right, and then your arm can either be forward or you can wrap it around your waist. Okay, whichever position. We're going to be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head. And breathe out. Open your body towards the left side a little bit more. Okay, once again, breathe in. Lift through the crown of your head. And breathe out. Twist a little bit more to your left side. Okay, perfect. And to come back, we're just going to go back into a tabletop position. Okay. And from here, we're going to go into some more hip opening stretches. So we're first going to go into a downward facing dog. So lift your hips up and your feet and your hands are grounded. Okay. And you can paddle your feet a little bit to add a little bit more flexibility into your practice. Okay, and with one more breath cycle, you're going to come into being stationary. Okay, and of course, we're going to kick one leg up, so let's kick our right legs up into a 3-legged dog first. And then this time, instead of bringing your leg in between your hands, you're going to bring it towards the outside of your right hand, because we're going to go into a lizard pose. Okay. So you're going to open your hips a little bit more by bringing your right foot to outside of your right hand. Perfect. And once you're ready, you can lower your upper body onto the ground. So maybe bring your forearms onto the ground. You can keep your back leg engaged and lifted, or if you feel like that's a little bit too much, you can also lower your back leg, okay? Find a variation that fits you the best, and we're going to be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, think about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Okay, one more time, breathe in, lift up, breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And from here, we're going to kick back into a 3-legged dog. And then we're gonna go into a pigeon pose. So knees to chest, and then knees to right wrists. And try to bring your shin to be parallel to the ground if you can. If you cannot, just find the best way, maybe at a 45-degree angle, to land your right leg. And then you try to bring all of your left leg onto the ground. All right. So we're going to be here for 3 breaths to sink slowly deeper into this hip opening position. So 1 breath in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. And if you feel like you can go even deeper, feel free to bring your upper body onto the ground. Okay, let's be here for 2 more breaths. So find your best position. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Let's do this 1 more time. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. To come out, walk your hands back to the ground if they're not. And then you're gonna engage your left foot to lift yourself back into a 3-legged dog. Perfect. And we're gonna switch to a 3-legged dog on the other side. So lift your left leg up this time. And let's first go into a lizard pose first by landing your left foot outside of your left hand. So this is gonna open our hips a little bit more. Okay, and once you find your position, you can lower your upper body onto the ground, forearms on the ground. Okay, and you can choose either to engage your back leg and lift it up like this, or you can lower your back knee and let the back of your foot come to the ground. Okay, find your best back leg position, and we're going to be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. 1 more time. Breathe in, lift up, breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. To come out, work your hands back to the ground, and then we're going to kick back into a 3-legged dog. Okay, and from here, knees to chest, knees to left wrist, and lower your left leg in a bent position. So you can try to bring your shin to be parallel to the short edge of the mat, but a lot of people's hips are too tight for that, so feel free to bring your left foot closer to your right hip. Find your best seated position, and once you feel like you're grounded, we can sink a little bit deeper. We're going to be here for 3 breaths, okay? So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Maybe you can walk your forearms onto the ground. Breathe in, lift up, breathe out, sink a little bit more. Okay, 1 last time. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. To come out, walk your hands back to the ground if they're not, and then we're going to kick back into a 3-legged dog. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to go back into a downward facing dog. And from here, we're going to do a quick sun salutation because we're in nature. Why not? Okay, to do that, you can walk or hop to your hands. Okay, and then you're going to, with 1 breath in, go into a forward fold. Okay, and then breathe out. Breathe in, we're going to go into a halfway lift. So straighten your back, bring your gaze to a little bit more forward on the ground. Okay, and then with 1 breath in, we're going to bring our hands up through our sides to be on top of our heads. Perfect. And breathe out, forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. Straighten your back, move your gaze forward a little bit, but still on the ground. And breathe out, go into a plank pose through either stepping or hopping. Okay, and breathe out, we're going to go through chaturanga into an upward facing dog. Okay, then when we breathe out, we're going to come into downward facing dog. Very well. Let's do this 1 more time. So breathe in, hop or step into a forward fold. And breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Breathe in, halfway lift, straighten your back, move your gaze forward a little bit on the ground. Okay, and when we breathe in, we're gonna stand up, arms through our sides to be on top of our head. Okay. Breathe out, forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. And when we breathe out, come to a plank pose through hopping or stepping. And when we breathe out, chaturanga into a downward facing dog. Upward facing dog first. And then with one breath out, we're finally gonna come into a downward facing dog. Perfect. Alright. And from here, we're gonna lower back into a tabletop position. And we're gonna do a couple more quad stretches. Okay, so remember earlier when we started, we're in a kneeling position, but with our heels outside of our hips. So we're gonna do this one more time, but we're gonna intensify it by leaning all the way down if you can. Okay, so walk your hands back and then just find a position that you can feel that stretch in your cross. Okay, so we're gonna be here for 3 breaths, so you can gradually sink a little bit deeper. For people who can sink all the way, you can just remove that support of your forearm and just lie all the way back. Okay, and then we'll find our best stretching sensation in 3 breaths. So breathe in, think about lifting through the crown of your head again, and breathe out, sink a little bit more. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit more. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit more. Perfect. And from here, if your forearms are not supporting you, feel free to walk your forearms to the ground. And then we're going to gradually come out of this. Perfect. And then because we did such a knee opening position, we kind of want to close it out a little bit. So we're going to come into a couple of lotus pose related core engagements. Okay, so come into a lotus pose. What we're gonna do is we're gonna bring first maybe your right foot to your left hip, and then if you can, bring your left foot to your right hip. Okay, so this is a lotus pose. We're gonna be here for 2 breaths just to center ourselves. So breathe in, think about lifting up through the crown of your head, and breathe out, relax your shoulders and ground yourself a little bit more. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, relax your shoulders and ground a little bit more. Okay, and then let's switch the order of our legs. So this time, left foot to your right hip, and then your right foot to your left hip. Okay, and instead of being in here for 2 breaths, what we're gonna do is scale pose. So we're gonna support ourselves only with our 2 hands and lift everything else up, right? So knowing that's gonna happen, really find a really nice grounding with your hands. Maybe open your fingers really wide so you have a really good support. Okay, and then we're gonna be here for 2 breaths, but with ourselves only supported by our hands. Okay, so when we breathe in, lift up, breathe out, just ground through your hands a little bit more. Okay, and breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, thinking about grounding through your hands a little bit more. Okay, and then maybe also lower your legs onto the ground again. Perfect. And then we're gonna unwind and unravel our lotus pose a little bit, and we're just gonna do some ankle rolls counterclockwise and then clockwise. Okay, perfect. And then we're gonna come into easy cross-legged position, and we're just gonna roll our wrists a little bit one direction and the other direction. Perfect. And now we're gonna roll our shoulders backwards 3 times. 1, 2, 3. and forward 3 times. 1, 2, 3, to close the practice. Thank you so much for joining me in the nature, and I really hope that if you have equally really sore shoulders and quads, then this has been a great workout for you. And thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.